Hello, friends. If you are on Universal Credit, Job Seekers Allowance, or Employment and Support Allowance, there is something you need to understand right now. The DWP has the power to cut your benefits, sometimes to zero, without much warning. It's called a sanction, and every week, thousands of people across the UK have their payments stopped for reasons they do not fully understand, no idea they have the right to fight back. So today, I am going to walk you through exactly what DWP sanctions are, can and cannot be applied, and, most importantly, what you can do to challenge one if it happens to you. I have gone through the official DWP guidance and everything confirmed for 2026, and there are specific protections in place that most claimants are never told about. Some of these could mean the difference between a sanction being reversed and money being restored to your account. I have saved the most critical step for the end because it is the one almost nobody takes and it is the one that works. Before we get into it, please subscribe to this channel and turn on the bell notification. I know everyone says that, so let me explain why it genuinely matters here. DWP sanction rules change, the thresholds, the durations, the grounds for challenge. When those rules change, the DWP does not write to you. They update the policy and expect you to already know. The people who are subscribed here find out about these changes before a sanction letter lands on their doormat. The people who are not tend to find out afterwards, after the payments have already stopped, after the appeal window has started closing, after they have already fallen behind on rent and bills. That is the difference. Hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and let us get into it. First, what is a sanction and why does it happen? A sanction is when the DWP reduces or stops your benefit payments because they believe you have not met the conditions of your claim. For Universal Credit, those conditions are set out in your claimant commitment. Things like attending work coach appointments, applying for a set number of jobs per week, or completing training activities. The DWP decides you have failed to meet one of those requirements without what they call a good reason. They can impose a sanction. The length varies. For a first low-level sanction, it is typically 1 week, but for higher-level sanctions, it can be up to 3 months. In the most serious cases, if you are deemed to have left a job voluntarily without good reason, it can be 6 months. Is 6 months of reduced or zero income. Here is the critical thing most people do not realize. A sanction does not happen automatically just because the DWP says it does. There is a process, and that process contains rights that belong to you. Second, the right to provide a good reason, and what that actually means. Before a sanction is confirmed, DWP is supposed to give you the opportunity to explain why you missed an appointment or failed to meet a requirement. It is called the doubt process. You should receive a letter or message asking for your side of the story. Here is what most people do not know. Good reason does not have to be dramatic. It can be a health issue, physical or mental. It can be a family emergency, can be a transport problem. It can be that you did not receive the appointment notification in time. DWP decision maker is supposed to consider your individual circumstances. The problem is they often do not ask follow-up questions. Claimants do not know they are allowed to push back. If you are contacted about a potential sanction, respond in writing, explain your circumstances clearly, and keep a record of everything you send. You can contact the DWP on DWP phone number or through your online journal if you are on Universal Credit. Third, what to do if a sanction has already been applied. If the sanction has gone through and your payment has already been reduced, you have 2 options. The first is a mandatory reconsideration. This is a formal request for the DWP to look at the decision again. You must request this within 1 month of the date on the sanction letter. That deadline is real, and it matters. Write to the DWP clearly stating you are requesting a mandatory reconsideration. Explain why the sanction was wrong or why you had a good reason. Include any supporting evidence. A doctor's note, a message confirming your appointment, anything relevant. Send it in writing and keep a copy. the mandatory reconsideration is unsuccessful, the second option is an appeal to an independent tribunal. This goes outside the DWP entirely. Independent panel looks at your case and can overturn the decision. The success rate for universal credit sanction appeals is significantly higher than most people expect. But you can only reach the tribunal after a mandatory reconsideration has been completed. So that first step is not optional. It is the gateway to everything else. To start a mandatory reconsideration, contact the DWP at DWP phone number or go to gov.uk and search Mandatory Reconsideration Universal Credit. Fourth, hardship payments and why the DWP will not tell you about them. If you have been sanctioned and you genuinely cannot cover essentials, food, rent, utilities, you may be entitled to a hardship payment. A hardship payment is a reduced amount paid to you while your sanction is in place. It is not a gift. It is a repayable advance that gets deducted from future payments, but it exists. DWP will not automatically offer it to you. You have to ask. The eligibility conditions include that you have been sanctioned, that you have met certain requirements for a waiting period, and that you are in financial hardship as a result. For most claimants, kicks in after a set number of days of the sanction running. If your payment has been stopped or significantly reduced, contact the DWP immediately and specifically ask about hardship payments. Do not wait. Every day without income is a day you do not have to lose. Call DWP phone number or use your online Universal Credit Journal to make the request. Fifth, groups who have extra protections and often do not know it. Not everyone is treated the same under the sanction regime. This is where the system is particularly poorly communicated. If you have a health condition or disability, claimant commitment should already reflect your limited capability for work. If it does not, the requirements being placed on you may be wrong, and sanctions based on those wrong requirements can be challenged. If you are a carer, single parent with a young child, or you are pregnant, there are reduced or different conditionality rules that apply. You are in certain exempt groups, including those receiving certain components of universal credit related to health. You should not be receiving work-related requirements at all. Here is what makes this particularly difficult. These protections exist in policies documents that claimants are rarely shown, and work coaches do not always explain. If you think your claimant commitment does not reflect your actual circumstances, request a review of it. You have the right to do that. Go to your nearest citizen's advice or go to gov.uk and search Universal Credit Conditionality to understand what should and should not apply to you. Here is where we are. Sanctions can reduce or stop your universal credit, JSA, ESA payments, sometimes some for months, but they are not the final word. Before a sanction is confirmed, you have the right to give a good reason. Use it, in writing, with evidence. If a sanction has been applied, you have 1 month to request a mandatory reconsideration. That deadline is firm, and missing it closes the door to appeal. If you are in financial hardship during a sanction, hardship payments exist, but you have to ask for them because the DWP will not bring them up. If you have a health condition, a disability, caring responsibilities, or young children, conditionality rules may be different, and sanctions based on wrong requirements can be overturned. None of these protections come looking for you. The DWP is not going to ring and explain your rights. Citizens' advice is not going to knock on your door. The only thing standing between you and a reverse sanction is knowing these steps exist and taking one of them before the deadline passes. If this video has been useful, please subscribe and share it with someone you know who is on universal credit or receiving DWP benefits, a family member, a friend, a neighbor going through a difficult time. One conversation, one shared video, could make a real difference before a letter arrives they were not expecting. I will see you in the next one.